Have you ever felt like you're running in place?
It's not the big, loud things that are truly scary. It isn't the sudden shock of a market crash you see on the news. It's not some scary headline about a recession or even that sharp, awful pain of losing a job. Those things, they're loud. They're obvious. You can point to them.
No, the real terror, the one that I think keeps a lot of us up at night, it's so much quieter than that. It's more like a slow, creeping feeling. It's that almost invisible sense that you're doing everything you were supposed to do. You work hard, you save what little you can, you try to be smart about things, and yet there's this feeling that you're just not getting anywhere. You're just treading water. And maybe you see other people who don't seem to work as hard or be as smart, and they just glide right past you. And you're left there wondering, what am I missing? What do they know that I don't?
Well, the answer, that thing that so many of us are missing, it isn't some secret password or a hot stock tip. It's way, way simpler than that, and honestly, a lot more powerful. It's really just a force of nature. It's like a universal law that's behind all kinds of growth, from a tiny seed pushing its way out of the dirt to the biggest fortunes ever built.
This power is so profound that it's been called the eighth wonder of the world. And yet, here's the crazy part. It's a power that most of us, in our constant rush for instant results, we just disrespect it. We ignore it every single day. We are, of course, talking about compounding.
And I need you to understand something before we go any further. This isn't going to be a math lesson, I promise. We're not going to look at complex formulas or confusing charts. This is really a lesson about patience. It's about a relationship with time itself. And in a way, it's a lesson about learning how to trust the future. To really, truly understand this force, we have to start with a story that we all think we know. The story of the man who, for most people, represents the absolute peak of financial genius. The Oracle of Omaha himself, Warren Buffett. So you see this number, $152 billion. Just let your eyes rest on that for a second. It's almost impossible to comprehend. And our minds, they immediately leap to just one conclusion: genius, right? Pure, unbelievable, once-in-a-lifetime skill. And so we study him. We read his letters, we listen to his interviews, we think, if I could just think like him, maybe I could get a tiny piece of that success.
But what if we've been telling ourselves the wrong story this whole time? What if his genius isn't actually the most important part? Let's just try a little thought experiment. Let's imagine a different Warren Buffett, one who had a more normal life. What if he only really got started investing in his 30s, like a lot of us do? And what if he decided to retire at a normal age, say 60?
The answer is, well, it's just staggering. With the exact same brain, the same world-class skills, the same incredible returns on his investments, his net worth would be about $12 million. Let that sink in. $12 million. Now, of course, that's an amazing fortune, an incredible success, but he wouldn't be a billionaire. He wouldn't be the Oracle. In fact, chances are most of us would never have even heard his name.
And the story behind that huge gap, it's even more revealing. The vast, vast majority of his fortune, we're talking more than 99% of it, was built after he qualified for Social Security, after his 65th birthday. His wealth isn't just a story about being a good investor. It's a story about the relentless, unstoppable, incredible power of time. Decades and decades of compounding.
So, here's the thing we really have to get. His skill is real. He is, without a doubt, a brilliant investor. But his secret, the hidden ingredient that turned millions into those unimaginable billions, was simply time. He started when he was a kid, and he just never stopped. He gave that quiet magic of compounding almost 80 years to do its work.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. The story of a legendary billionaire can feel, I don't know, a little distant, like it's happening on another planet. So let's bring this right back down to earth. Let's talk about someone else, someone whose life is just powerful proof that this magic, it isn't just for geniuses, it's available to anyone with enough patience to let it work. Let's talk about a man named Ronald Read.
Ronald Read was a janitor. He also worked for many years as a gas station attendant. He lived a very quiet, very humble life in a small town in Vermont. People knew him for his flannel shirts and for being thrifty. But Ronald had a secret. For decades, he did something incredibly simple. He would buy shares of good, stable companies. The ones everyone's heard of. He held on to them. And whenever those companies paid him a little dividend, he just used that money to buy more shares. And then he just waited for a very, very long time.
When Ronald Read passed away at the age of 92, the
This quiet, unassuming man completely shocked his little town. He left behind a fortune of $8 million, and he donated most of it to his local library and hospital. He didn't have a secret algorithm. He wasn't some Wall Street insider. He simply had patience, an ocean of it.
So let's just look at them for a second, side by side. The oracle and the janitor. You couldn't imagine two more different lives, right? One, a world-famous genius, the other, a humble man nobody really knew. Their strategies were completely different. But look at what they shared. Their real secret weapon, it wasn't their brain power, it was their extraordinarily long time horizon. And their most important trait, it wasn't being aggressive or brilliant. It was just a deep, profound, unwavering patience.
So if the formula is so simple, just consistency plus time, why is it so rare? Why do so many of us start down this road only to give up? Well, the answer, it's inside of us. It's the tragedy of our own impatience. And it's just the way our minds are built.
Our brains, they really didn't evolve to understand this kind of exponential growth. We're built for linear thinking. You know, we think, if I put in 1 hour of work, I get 1 unit of reward. If I put in 2 hours, I get 2 units back. We expect things to be steady, predictable, step by step. We want to see the progress.
But compounding, it just doesn't work that way. For a very long time, it feels like nothing is happening at all. The growth is so small, so quiet, you can barely even see it. And this is the great test. This is where the doubt creeps in. It's the period where most people quit. They break the cycle because the reward just doesn't feel like it's worth the effort. But if you can just hold on, if you can stay in the game long enough, the curve starts to bend. And then, way at the end, it goes almost vertical. It creates that explosive, almost magical growth that looks, from the outside, like it happened overnight. But it didn't. It was the result of decades of quiet patience.
And what's the whole point of all this waiting? Is it just to get a bigger number in your bank account? No. It's to purchase the one thing that money can actually buy, that is truly priceless. And it's not a fancy car or a big house. It's freedom. The ability to control your own time. The freedom to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. That is the truest and deepest definition of wealth.
And here we are at what I think is the most important part of this whole idea, the final, hopeful truth. This quiet magic, this universal law, it applies to so much more than money. It's a fundamental law of life itself.
Just think about it for a moment. Those small, almost unnoticeable gestures of kindness you show someone day after day for years, they compound into a relationship of deep trust, an unbreakable connection. Or that 20 minutes you spend walking, even on the days you don't feel like it, over and over for years. That compounds into lasting health that no pill can ever give you. Or spending 30 minutes reading about something you love, not for a week, but for a decade. That compounds into a level of expertise that makes you truly special. The math is always the same. Small, consistent efforts, when you give them enough time, produce extraordinary results.
We fight this idea because we want everything now. We live in a world that screams at us that we can have it all, and we can have it fast. But the deep, meaningful things in life, they just don't work that way. And we have to really let this sink in. For the things that truly matter, the alternative to being patient isn't getting it faster. The alternative is not getting it at all.
So what is the grand secret? What's the one thing we can take away from the oracle and the janitor? It's this. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the luckiest. You don't even have to predict the future. You just have to be the one who doesn't quit. The one who has the quiet courage to be consistent. The trick is simply to stick around long enough for the magic to work.
So I want to leave you with a question to just sit with. A quiet question, just for you. Just take a slow breath and look at your own life, your finances, your health, your relationships, your skills, and just ask yourself, where am I being impatient? Where am I pulling up the little plant every day to see if the roots are growing? And what would happen? What quiet magic could unfold if I just decided to trust the process and give it more time?